Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what it was about.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny because well, that's not funny, but
Mm.
um, so I was watching. It's called a high level conversation, and he was
Mhm.
talking exactly about that.
Mhm.
Um, there's too much information right now.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it's absolutely insane, right? So, and then we don't use that information usefully. So, like, say, like those TikTok reel or something,
Yeah.
it's always to catch your attention, right? But he
Mhm.
says, like, okay, like if this article or whatever, like this little video caught your attention, then go see the full interview.
Mm.
Don't just like look at that because now if you just look at that and then you scroll another one and another one, it's just like you're just piling up clothes, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
the analogy I would say, like, it's like, well, there's a lot of clothes in my closet that I haven't used for years, right? It's that knowledge that it's piled up, like it can be in the garage, it can be like my closet, it can be, in the basement, but it's until like I get this clothes back from the garage that it can be useful. But if it's like it's just piling up, piling up, piling up,
Exactly.
piling up, then there's no use to it.
Yeah. There's no
So
inspiration, right?
yeah, so you need to apply that knowledge, right? And then I was like, I'm not better than anybody. Like I was like that,
Mm.
like I wasn't watching like just like little video by little video, but I was watching like as many podcasts as I can all day,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
if I can squeeze like 4 or 5 podcasts, that's a good day, you know.
Mm.
But then what did I retain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So my practice before to go to bed is breath work. I just kind of started
Good.
probably four or five, like this week actually. And yeah, it's 3 rounds. I think it's about 10 or 15 minutes. I can put it in the chat. And it's 1 minute breath hold. And like what fascinated me yesterday about it, like usually like I'll do that and then I'll put some, it's called New Calm. So it's deep sleep. So it's like binaural beats merge with other stuff. And then I sleep through the night with that because, like baby
Mm.
wakes up, he cries and stuff, and she's feeding him and stuff. So I
Mm.
don't want to be disturbed. I want to have like a good night's sleep
Mm.
when I'm working or
Yeah.
vacation. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, that's good.
but yesterday, like I put the track on the breath work, and then right after, like I fell asleep, and I don't know what time I got up.
Oh, that's so good, Pascal. That's amazing.
I
That's
was
really
so
good.
relaxed after like that breath work that like I fell asleep, and then I woke up. I don't know. It must have been like midnight maybe, and then yeah, I switched it on to New Calm, and then yeah, fell asleep
Slept like a
again.
baby.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so that's my practice. Yeah, like the device um during like summer, because I go to bed so early that like the sun doesn't have time to set down, right? Because
Mm.
like I go to bed like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and the,
Yes,
the
and then
the sun is
probably,
still up, you know.
yeah, especially the,
So we don't use lights in the summer, right? Inside.
that's
So
good.
yeah, I try to to minimize like my device maybe an hour before. But in the winter, I use like those blue blocking glasses,
Yes.
and those like game changer for me, game
Yeah.
changer. Because otherwise, I cannot go to bed. You know,
Yeah.
so around 6 o'clock, I got to put them on. I might look funny, but it works really well. So
That's whatever works for one, right?
yeah. The other thing I would say I realize is it's like now I try to leave all my tools on the table in ease group, because what I found is like when I leave all my tools, everything that I know that can serve this group, I can pick up new tools and better ones. You know, it's almost like, you know, we have 2 houses to build, but I'll give you everything I have, like the nails, everything. And then like, I cannot make the same tool. So I got to pick up, you know, I got to invent new ones or pick up somewhere new tools to build my house. So that becomes, yeah, that becomes a new foundation.
Yes. That's a really beautiful sentiment.
Yeah, and it's something I wasn't doing before, right? I was keeping it all for myself because I was like,
Yeah.
you know, I can be better than you, right? But now I don't recognize myself better than you. I want you kind of to be better, you know, like, so we're leveling up together.
Exactly. So there's more expansion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the more times you rebuild your foundation, the more of a conscious creator you establish yourself as.
Yeah. Well, there's more giving, so then there's more receiving, right?
Correct. Absolutely, 100%.
And that's kind of like, I just realized that, you know, I didn't understand the concept of like giving, receiving, you know, but I don't see it as money per se. For me, I do it as like knowledge, and I feel like it's like very beneficial.
Yeah, and your energy, hey Pascal. You know, when we share knowledge, there's a lot of one's own energy that's gone into acquiring it, in terms of receiving it and then mulling it over and seeing how it does work and perhaps where it doesn't work. And then you're sharing in that. That's giving a piece of yourself in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, and by sharing knowledge of what I know, then I'm allowing people to open up, right? And when they open up, now I open even more.
Because that's
right?
self-expression, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
space for self-expression. It's such an important creative space that it's essential.
That's why it's so much better to do it as a group, right?
Don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the word I would the word I choose that demonstrates that is value.
Yes.
That is, value is what we give and receive.
Mm. Very well put, Jeff.
Value what we give and what people listen and take and apply. If it matters for them, then it was valuable.
Mhm.
It's their assessment to make.
Mm.
And our intention to make.
Sorry. Always forget to switch my alarm off when I'm on.
It's fascinating. Thinking about the just before bed. I've thought about it many times. Just aware of what do I do and how does it work so well. It feels like it's 30 seconds and I'm out.
Mm.
Assume the position and it's not very long. I don't even think about it.
Mm.
And it's like, man, the next thing I know, it's
Morning.
3 o'clock and time to pee. That's a good 5-hour sleep. And what I've been practicing for quite some time now is it's all in like, what do I want? Yet it's what do I send it out. So what am I sending out so that people, others that I'm creating with can see it too? Well, it's really and it's different every night, I would say, but it's more focused on true choices of mine and sending them out. And that works really well for me. Because I've been able to quiet my mind and clear out all the distractions and holding on to the few things that are most important. Now, how about our intentional word for the day? Mine is valuable, so it's valuable, value. You are value. And it's equally valuable in our unique genius, gifts, and greatness. then we say yes. Unsure of the present, the gift that is coming next.
Mm.
Morning, Craig.
Good morning, people.
Morning, morning.
Morning, Craig. I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to have to leave again. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Thanks, Allison. Enjoy your
Okay,
day.
love you, Allison.
Bye, Allison.
Bye.
Take care.
You too.
Good morning. Just so we shared sleeping, like, oh, how we get to sleep practices. Shared updated life stories, like how life is. Is the intentional word for the day. And my word was value. It is, Pascal is speaking about the exchanging genius or information or experience or habits and practices that we're in, tools that we can use so that we can rise together. And that had me think, like, oh, wow, that's a great demonstration of value. We all have value to contribute. We all have value to take from others and use freely. No, that's in my domain. I put that in my structure of equally valuable, geniuses, gifts, and greatness, with yes and mindset. So welcome, Craig. I invite you in. As you are, as you were, and into the next moments of the day.
Wow. Mm. One thing I've been observing, and it's what I'm not hearing from various voices, like not hearing very much at all. And this might be mine to speak. So my word today is prophetic.
Prophetic.
Prophetic. like prophecy, speak prophecy,
Okay.
speak truth about the future. Oh boy. You can probably hear it in my voice that that even just the thought of that is moving me. Oh, wow, 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 wow.
You know, and that's very different. It's very different today than it would have been 1,000 years ago, because we're becoming aware that we can proactively create our future. We can actually co-create it. We can create the reality that we want to live in. And that's the greatest power we have as human beings, actually. Is that we can create the life we want to live in. And it's actually easier today than it's ever been.
Because the frequency of the planet rise.
Yeah, and because the veil is thin, the veil between Earth and the other side is thinner than it's ever been, and you know, and more people on the planet are aware of the energies involved. Like even science knows more about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so yesterday I think it's Joe that put like a breathwork practice of 8 minutes. And anyway, the video that he used. I never seen it, but he's my go-to, like one of the guy that I use for breath work.
Yeah, yeah.
And but I've got like YouTube Premium on my account, so I don't see the ads. But when I clicked on it, I saw the ad after the breath work. And then it was Mind Valley with Jeffrey Allen, and his course called Duality.
Yeah.
And he was telling the story that like he used to be an engineer and hated his life and stuff. And but he realized like he was able to like play with the energy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he's a pretty
even
fascinating guy.
yeah. So he said like, even though like I didn't like my job, like I was like, oh, I'm just gonna ask for a raise, you know. And so our boss says no to him because she was like, well, we don't have budget. He was like, okay, well, my buddy, he's gonna be in Germany or something, and then like I'd like to take 2 weeks vacation paid and this and that. And she was like, yeah, no problem. And like
Yep.
on his trip to Germany, he met like a friend that he hasn't seen for a long time. Like, so all this synchronicity that he was talking about. And it's fascinating that, you know, like the way it says like we can manipulate like energy and, you know, so I just watched a little bit, like yesterday, I was watching Kai, so, and then like it was between his crying that I was able to watch this video, and then it was just that masterclass, like to invite you to the course, and yeah, like just the way he was describing, and he was like, yeah, I want you to feel the energy and stuff, and I saw like his hand moving and all that. It was just like, it fascinated me really, you know, like it's hard to put words to it. It's just like I got really interested in it, and I'll probably take his course and see where it leads me, because I muscle test this morning just if it would be a beneficial course for me, and then it says yes. So, and I ask again, and then it says yes, you know, after my breath work session. So it's like, okay, well, I'll be taking it, see where it leads me. So so yeah, on another note, like I'll share the word of the day. It'll be beauty. Seeing beauty in everything. Even though someone cuts me off or anything like that, it's like on the truck, you know, how many people cut you off. It's pretty mind-boggling. They don't know that these trucks don't stop on a dime, I think. So, but yeah, seeing beauty in everything. That's, I'm gonna live by my day.
Mm. That's beautiful, Pascal.
Mm.
No, it really is. Yeah, that's beauty. Beauty is an awareness word.
Because beyond all this conditioning, all these drivers that they're in the traffic right now, there's a light. You know, and maybe they're not shining bright because they've been conditioned more than others, but there's still a light. So, you know, sometimes like I'm like, wow, I really don't resonate with them. It's tough for me to just even like stand beside that person. But like, okay, let's find something that, I don't know, valuable, you say, or like that it's beauty in him or her. Because like, I think as we do this work, it's coming easier and easier to see who we resonate with. And it's really easy to just say, oh, I'm not going to hang out with these people at all because they're not on the same path. But it's fine, but not just kind of like discriminate these people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're still part of the one. Like I'm not saying like you have to force yourself to hang out with these people, but yeah, finding the beauty, seeing the beauty in them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys realize that, but like you just like, now I stand in the group and then I'm like, okay, wow, I could hang out with this person and this person, and that's it. Like the rest of people, like I won't be able to talk. I won't be able to shine my light the way I want. You know, I'm gonna lose them.
Creating it before it even happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And such a powerful statement is, I'm going to see life as beauty. That's the day today. It's like, wow, what a tool, a gift from your genius that is. So my practice, don't do it all the time, is to, what's your genius?
Here's the twist I got on that, is that I will create according to the beauty I see, instead of creating through my own bias. You know, instead of creating through my own judgment,
Past.
my own preconceived ideas.
My old patterns is what that says. How they used to be.
Yeah, those are some words that came up big for me too, is preconceived and premeditated. how it is. We know how it is to create stuff by scheming. Manipulating situations before they occur.
Create your own synchronicity.
Yeah. But create your synchronicity based on higher motives, based on heart motives. Like based on love. Instead of personal gain. And that's the big issue that I have today with the profit motive and this whole movement toward solopreneurship. I'm scratching my head as to why it's so difficult for people to even look at the possibility of co-creating their livelihoods with someone else. And I have to admit too that I was that way as well. When I first got married, I had been running my own business for 15 years by that time, before I had gotten married. And my wife really wanted to she really wanted to participate in business with me, but she just didn't have the experience or the well, let's put it this way, she just wasn't at my level that way. She'd never ever been self-employed, and
She didn't have makeup.
well, yeah, she didn't really.
Thank you.
You know, she wasn't naturally entrepreneurial. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you weren't willing to give her another job.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, and I've seen a lot of husband-wife teams that are like that too. It's like you get one of them's entrepreneurial, and then the other one kind of does the books and that kind of stuff. But for me, even by then, I knew an awful lot about manipulating money. Like I knew a lot about things like how to use the tax system to your advantage and other stuff like that. Like I think throughout the years I paid, maybe well, let's put it this way. I can't remember the last year that I paid any income tax. I almost never paid
Wow.
income tax. Pretty much my
I
whole
need
life.
to hire you.
Well, yeah, exactly. And but I just kind of magically knew my way around that system, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, well, and there's a lot of, they call them tax loopholes, but there's a lot of those kind of things. It's just about how you structure stuff, and you can write off certain things. So the last 10 years or so, I set everything up so that I could write off a portion of my household expenses, like things like electricity.
This is recorded, Craig.
I know,
Okay. All right.
but all this is legal. I mean, you got.
I know it is. I run a business.
But you know, like it's really funny when the biggest tax benefits that every taxpayer has is having a home business, because there's a whole plethora of that stuff that you can work with because you are working at home. And so during COVID, when people couldn't go to their office and all that kind of stuff, everybody had the right to expense their office at home and expense that against income. And I know that very, very few people did that. You know, like even things like your cell phone are an allowable expense, or at least a portion of it. So anyway, yeah, my wife never knew about any of that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it wasn't even good for her to keep the books.
Right.
It wouldn't have been beneficial.
Well, it's there's like the assessment. It's like, oh, I can train, right? We can train, or she can pay to get up to education, right? To have the value to contribute it, or I go hire it.
Yeah.
I mean, as we talk about value, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, neither of those two were an option because when I started my business, you couldn't hire that kind of accounting expertise, put it that way. So I taught myself.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting too, when I started my coaching practice back in the late 90s, I was coaching for about 5 years, and when I took a little foray into the financial services industry, and I ended up teaching people how to do alternative investments, everything but mutual funds, everything else. And that included real estate and things like tax liens and deeds, and putting groups of investment groups together, developing real estate and specialized housing. investing and trading on in the markets, like such as futures and foreign exchange and stocks and options, risk-free trading, like things like option spreads, those kind of stuff. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I was teaching people how to do. And, you know, and I learned all that myself too. So it's like, okay. And yeah, I haven't found very many people that can keep up to me in those areas either. And I was involved in a lot of startup companies, like tech and business startups. Those were some adventures. Wow. There was a lot of people that I had dealings with in those days that were really, really brilliant, but they were really, really idiotic at the same time. Frustrating.
So Craig, how would you value a credit?
You mean a credit?
Meaning a carbon credit.
A tax credit?
Basically, yeah.
Well, it's only worth something if you exploit it.
Right. So let's say
you got to exploit it to the max.
So let's say you exploit it. Let's say you can control that it has to run through you. What do you charge for it?
I'd take a percentage.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What percentage would you take?
Well, what I'd look at is if they weren't getting your expertise around the use of that credit.
Yep.
I would
It's
consider.
It's not an option.
Yeah, I would consider 50-50.
That's where I was too.
Yeah, because it's like, look, if I don't help you do this, you've got zero.
Yep.
If I help you do this, then you've got X. And the thing is, yeah, if I can show you how to do that.
Here's how my mine works is that there's two ways. If I provide them with a superior product, my service revenue drops.
Correct.
So my incentive on that side would be to give them a worse performing product rather than going out and looking for a better one.
Right. And I just want to stop you right there.
Okay.
Because that's the thing. Okay, if you want to come at it from a how can we maximize this for everybody?
Mhm.
You want to be thinking from there. And so
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of these things, the way that they're worded and the way that they're set up, the way that they want you to use them because they word them that way. And that's the way they market them. Okay, because I mean they market things like that too. Yeah, you want to make sure that you're maximizing it for everybody, and basically wringing out the dish rag.
I don't understand the metaphor.
You know, wringing out the dish rag means, okay, you got water in the dish rag, or you've got oil in the rag. Okay, you want to squeeze that until you get every cotton pick and drop on it.
Exactly. And that is the cleanest way of already existing assets. Get as much out of it as clean as possible.
Right. And so, And so don't suck into the rhetoric and the marketing jargon. Don't suck into either of those, but find your path of least resistance and your path to maximum benefit inside whatever it is you're doing, because both of those exist, but you need to find them, because they
create
won't be
them. You create them because they don't exist. And so that's what happens in an innovation. They don't exist, so you create them.
right. Well, there is a
And
way.
when you-
So you go in
and when
saying,
you-
okay, I know already that there's a way to do this. That there's a way to maximize both of those. Minimum effort, maximum benefit.
Mhm.
There's a way in pretty much every structure to do both of those.
Mhm.
Where the energy flows. Okay, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I mean, because that's what my intent, because then you're to maximize the system that's there for the purposes that it's designed for. And for me, it's like the old model of a service company would be well, I want to do as many units as possible, and the customer wants those units at the lowest price. The lowest price is whatever my nearest competitor's price is. So the opportunity to do that. And then what happens is if we own the project through which the credits flow, we don't own the credits, but we own the project.
Right.
And there's only can be one project. That's the percentage of which to take it from because of the creating and getting the project approved. Would you charge money to be a part of that project? Charge money to start that project. Let's say that project takes a year for approval.
Is there a shelf life for the project? Meaning
2030,
will-
2030.
Will it run out of resource to work with?
Yeah, by 2030, yes.
Oh, by 2030, so it's going to
Mhm.
end.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, then I'd definitely be charging an upfront and a percentage.
Mhm.
Yeah, but there's definitely an upfront because it's not a sustainable thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Good way to put it, huh?
Yep.
The sustainability is not there.
Yep.
Now, if they continue, we don't know if they'll continue their credits.
So you know already that oil wells aren't going to produce forever, right?
That's right. It's always a diminishing return.
They have a shelf life. So
Mhm.
So the thing is, what you're proposing to has to do with keeping that well producing for much longer than you can with conventional methods, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So the thing is, you should get you should be getting some kind of incentive compensation for even suggesting the possibility of that. But the thing is, you can perform on that. So the thing is, there's know-how in that you want to be paid for, because without your technology, they can't keep their well producing. They're dying anyway. So it's not that you're not suggesting that we maintain something that's dying. What you're suggesting is that we get maximum production out of it in spite of the fact that it's dying, or because it's dying. So there should be a fee on their part to participate in that.
Mhm.
Okay, because it's not sustainable. You know, right from scratch, it's not sustainable. It's not a long-term thing.
Mhm.
So there should be a fee there, but you should also get a percentage or some kind of a productivity, some kind of a kickback that's based on productivity as well.
On the success of it, right?
So we create more revenues. I get a piece of those revenues that we create. Those additional revenues, you know. But it should be gross revenues from the time you implement the technology. Percentage of gross revenue.
I think my
Because you're
easiest
doing
way
both.
is to separate. Yeah, I mean, so there's a way that I do a job for a cost and they get a return now, and I've been doing that for 16 years.
Yeah.
Now there's another component of is, oh, look, I've found this credit that is capable to attach to that, which makes my jobs a whole lot more valuable rather than increasing the price of those where you're not going to pay that anyway. I want a performance side of it, and my industry does not do a oil production performance very well. I will stay away from it. But from a credit point of view, it's a perfect vehicle.
See, that credit ends up on the bottom line as
dollar for dollar
as revenue, basically.
Profit. It's profit.
Yeah. So you
take that dollar and divide it by its profitability, and that's in terms what that revenue is worth.
Right.
That's then
exactly.
revenue. It's a dollar for dollar profitability.
Yep.
So
you're
that
you're
dollar,
not getting paid for the oil, you're getting paid for the
credit.
Paid for the credit.
Yeah, and in that credit, if you run into 20% profitability, that $1 is worth $5 of revenue.
Right. Exactly. So it's not. So it's generated by the credit. Generated by the credit, but it's not. It's generated by the credit, but you want the piece of the profit.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's also because it's a credit. It's they can engineer that in a way that it's also an expense. When they use you become an expense.
Yeah, that's already part of it. Yeah, and that expense comes off of it anyway, so it's a write-off on top of it.
Right.
It's not a capital. I don't think I can get any capital expenses out of any of it.
No. But if there's a tax reduction or anything like that, that's due to you as well, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's what people don't get is so the credit, I mean, they are paying the taxes on it now. And what this credit does is reduces that they get paid and they don't have to pay that tax.
Right, exactly.
That's a double whammy. I mean, that's twice, that gap is twice as big
Right.
because you're not paying the taxes on it and you're getting the credit. That's 2 for 1.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you go from minus 74 in terms you're getting tax on that credit, so you're getting hit with a $74 $74 taxes on that credit, and then, or sorry, on your current practices, and then you give them a credit for $74 back. That's 150, $148 back. I mean, that's a $148 gap.
Right. That you didn't have before.
Yeah. So in all reality, that credit is worth that.
Yep.
So in all reality, you're only taking a quarter of it.
Yep. What I'm saying is you should be taking 50% of all.
Yeah, that would be the whole credit then. Yeah, I think 50% of the credit's going to be a stretch for me. I think I'll have enough resistance to that. So my aim is to charge enough on the product side of things. Yeah.
But here's another thing.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that you can do too. Is you're in beta with this, like in a beta stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're kind of working out the numbers and everything else, and so first takers are going to get the best deal. You can change. You can change your contract and the numbers as you go.
Yeah, I always do that for sure. That's the first yeses get the better deal. So people will never learn to say no.
Yeah. So taking 50% of the tax credit is fine for now because you've got a barrier there that's your own. Okay, that's fine for now. There's no such thing as a mistake as you're doing this. It's all good, but you can tweak it. You can tweak it as you go. It doesn't have to be the same 6 months from now as it is today. And once you put it into a contract form and it's actually performing and all that kind of stuff, you're stuck with that one. But any other ones that come up, change them as they go. So like be open to open.
Yep. Well, it's better than the situation I have now because I have contracts. There's just no commitment to perform those contracts.
Right.
So if I can get something, especially if I can get a long-term contract, there's value that significantly increases the value of the company.
Long-term as in long-term to 2030 or?
Yeah. I mean, well, and then you got 30, and then really what you have is still 45 because there's no way if you own the project and there's no way that anyone can really compete with you to get those credits, you in a sense own a monopoly until those credits go away. And then even when those credits go away, I mean, how much you've got enough trust built in with the standard operating practices, it's going to become really hard for another one to come in and compete with you, especially if you've got numbers that no one can beat.
Yeah.
Because you've been constantly improving. My aim is I want to do the least amount of jobs with the highest amount of return.
Exactly.
And I'm incentivized to do that. I'm incentivized to do that because I get a reward of the credit.
Right.
Now, the other way to do it would be to not perform as well, right? And do a whole lot more wells. But inside of that, it becomes a whole new metric that doesn't exist today, which is where I want to get compensated on the emission reduction.
Yes.
So if you think about this in the game of Go, you are just positioning higher entry forms for your competitor to compete against. And if they don't even realize that you're offering emission reduction for a price, they're not going to put it in. They're going to be behind the game.
Right, exactly.
Competitive
That's why
advantages.
I love that you came up with this.
Yeah.
Is because it's not directly related to the oil production.
Now, which is what everyone knows, and it's the existing way to do contracts. And so when you bring in a new contract, a new term, people get nervous
Ah, okay.
because they don't understand it,
Yeah.
because it's new, it's blah, 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 right? So
So do you know any production accountants that understand all this?
well, I'm going to start with mine.
Well, that's what I mean.
So
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, it's not a customer, nor do we ever, from our customers' point of view, we don't ever work with them that way. But my accountant knows enough of them that yeah, he'll know enough of the doors to he'll be able to guide me with it. So
I kind of find it hard to believe that there's no contract CFOs do this work for a number of different companies.
never thought of it.
Because that's kind of a missing piece for you,
Is what?
is finding an oil field accountant that understands this language.
Mhm,
And you'll know right away
mhm.
when you start talking about this, when you start talking about tax credits and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They'll be on your page. In fact,
Yeah,
there'll be at least one, but there'll be one right off the top who's going to get really excited when you share this with them.
Mhm.
And he's your man.
Yeah.
You'll see it right away.
Mhm.
His whole body will tingle like mine is right now.
Yep. Well, I got my next obvious action.
Yeah.
It wasn't there before the call, and it's continuing to be there through the call.
Yeah, if you can find somebody, if you can find an oil field financial person who's independent of sorts, that would be the best scenario.
Yeah, my accountant says he's got I don't know who it is. I haven't had an opportunity, but it's going to be a good place to start with a conversation because it'll test. I can practice my story with it.
Exactly.
And then he can give me spaces to improve it. So
Your story's developed over the last couple of days too.
Mhm.
I'm just observing that. I want to let you know that I see the difference. But I've been monitoring you for a number of months now.
Well, good. Then so it's always better to have somebody else's view of the story.
Yeah. And how the
It adds
story's
credibility
developing.
to it. Mhm.
Well, and the other side of it is too, like who does this new story need to be told to? Like, who's the listening ears?
It is the CFOs.
Yeah.
That wasn't obvious until this week.
And your own your
And when
own.
you make them look good and when they can come to the table with this type of solution, they may take out the CEO if they wanted to, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely
It's that
uh,
it's that
I
big.
was going to say a power shift, but it's not a power shift. It's an energy transformation
Mhm.
that's being injected into the to the hierarchy there.
It is how you make a good friend in high places
Exactly.
where no one else would listen because they're onto their big vision bullshit.
Right. Right. Well, and the vision in that industry is dying.
Oh,
Just
it was
is.
never there. It was never there. Well, I take that back. For the last 20 years, it's not been there.
Right.
They say they are, they think they are. But if
You've
you're
had to-
thinking that if you're thinking carbon capture and storage is going to save your ass, that's fine, go for it. But by 2030, you're going to know whether or not it works.
Right.
Just ask Chevron in Australia, who's in 5 years, billions of dollars over and 50% under capacity.
Yeah.
5 years later, 5 years behind schedule, 50% of the capacity of what they planned on doing, you know, and billions of dollars over budget.
Yeah.
And you think a smaller company is going to do better? Yeah, they'll do a little better.
But it's still a sliding scale.
It's still a learning curve. Yeah,
It's not,
I love
it's not
the.
exponential like yours
No.
is.
That's all right. Well, and it's not scalable to start today.
Right. Mm.
Start today, not 2020, not 2030. All the cost that goes into that, you know, and it's like Jesus. So anyway. Quite interesting. I share my story with other people that are quote in that domain and they tell me, oh, you have to do blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, that's what I do. It can't be done is basically what they're telling me. Like,
Right.
oh, okay.
Yep. Enough sharing.
Exactly. It's like, oh, good. I got your point. Perfect. I don't
meeting's
have to
over.
worry. I don't have to worry about you.
Exactly. Because even when this blows up in their face, they're not going to get it. That's okay.
Mhm. It's only for me to get, right? Yeah. Me and some customers. And if you're not a customer, I don't need you to get it. No good. Well, thanks for letting me test. I wanted to, interesting. We both confirmed 50% and I was doubting that.
If you're just going 50% on the credit.
Yeah.
Had otherwise.
Mhm. Well, I've increased my price. My first customer got it for 2,800. I can't change that, right? I mean, I'm contracted into that one right now. So I was always thinking, well, how the hell do I get more out of that? And so that's what it came up to. And so then the next customer's 3,300 and then the next customer's 4,200. And I think the rest of them after that are going to be over $5,000. Just on the service side of it. That's the cost of saying no. What fee how would you think about the fee?
that the numbers you just talked about?
No, that's the execution of the service. That's the oil that makes it possible for the credit. So the project is making the credit. So they, for $5,000, right, they get 300 barrels of oil.
Yeah.
That's $15,000 at $50 oil, which we're much higher than right now.
Yeah.
So anywhere to 300 to 500% return. My purpose is to find better products, better job types, improve that so I can produce more oil, because that's a higher credit.
Right, exactly. So it's worth spending R&D on.
Yeah.
From your point,
So that,
point of view.
so that 300 barrels is worth 50 credits. At right now, $74 a pop. A year ago, it was worth $200. Now it fluctuates, but I anticipate it's just going to continue to go up.
So what you need to assess here is what your cost is to put that machinery and that structure in place. Like, what is it going to cost you to get that machinery going? Given company.
That's a good way to put it, isn't it? That's a good way to think about it. Rather than putting that on the job cost, I put it into this project.
Right.
Ooh, that's new.
So, and it's going to be different for every company you work with.
Yeah.
So the way they have things structured already. Okay. So you want to find the easiest way to implement in that particular company and maximize the benefit of it. So ease, lack of effort, and maximum benefit. And you decide how you want to be compensated. I'm thinking that there's a percentage in there somewhere. That has to do with scope of work as far as getting the machinery going. There's going to be different resistance in every company. And that's not because of structure, but it's because of how they're used to doing things. So there might be added steps in the process. There might even be tweaks in the chain of command, those kinds of things. But if all of that is suggested by the CFO, then it's going to be relatively easy.
Yeah.
But there will be resistance. I mean, there's no getting around that.
There'll be and I think there'll be it appears It appears I'm going to need enough support behind me in case I get pushback. Pushback from the regulatory group.
Okay.
Now I'm going to phrase it in such a way that it's, once the project's in place, I think we can scale it as big as we want. I don't
Yeah.
think they can put a limit on it. So once the project's approved, then we open the thing wide open and really put the coals to it, but we don't. Because what we're saying is, well, we're really not sure how much your wells are going to produce, respond to my treatment.
Right.
Now I do, me and the oil companies already know what that's going to be. Well, the oil companies
Right.
don't know, I do.
Right.
But what we do the project, we come in and say, look, let's do this. You pay this upfront fee and I need to do 20 wells roughly. Because that will give us an idea of the economic scale.
Well, here's another thing too. Okay, once you get the machinery for these projects like in going, then do the regulators have an approval process to it?
Yes, they do. I mean, I don't.
They have to rubber stamp it or something?
Yeah, they have to approve the credit. So they have to approve the project. And
okay.
once you get one project approved, I think they'll be able to rubber stamp all of them.
Yeah. Okay. So that stage needs to be put in your fee as well. You know, and I don't know how you figure. See, the thing is, if there's an approval required, then that's a risk to you actually, because you could do a hell of a lot of work on something already and have it not approved, right? So it's a risk factor. So your fee needs to be an insurance against possible turn down by the regulator. So it's not, you can't be held liable because the regulator doesn't rubber stamp your project.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the company and I have got to come to that agreement that is the risk. They're really not out much of anything. And in all reality, I'll make up whatever that project fee is by more oil.
Right. What's interesting about this too, I'm seeing this happening as well, is that there will be people in the regulators that understand what it is you're doing, and you'll have an open door there. Regulator, this won't happen right away, but once somebody in there who's kind of with it catches on to what you're doing, you'll have an ally in there in the regulator. So that's the other thing too. It's kind of like, that's the same principle as having as finding an independent third party oil field financial officer that kind of become part of your team. That's that same idea. But all of them exist already. They all exist for you.
Yeah,
because I know that this wouldn't have developed the way it has unless there's going to be support.
Right, yeah,
you know, and that's key. That's key people, right?
Yeah. And the
people in key
regulatory
positions. Yeah.
The regulatory group that's responsible for it, it is their objective to reduce these emissions. They got to go 20%, and because the oil field is so far out since they implemented this, they're so far past it. There's no way I can bring them there. They can't do enough of it to bring it back to their objective, to their target.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there you go right there.
But it can make a big dent in it, but it won't get
Dent
it
in it,
back.
Yeah.
With how I see it right now, by 2030, I think that changes.
Yeah.
But
See, I just got a vision of the Red Sea parking for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's around the regulators
Mhm.
in the year 2030. It's like, yeah.
That's when I start injecting it into the ground and truly replace steam. I think by 2030 I can get 50% of it up here, and then the rest of it means my product goes into the ground continuously. That's a big chunk.
So I guess I am a business intuitive, hey?
Yeah, there you go. Good practice, isn't it?
It is good practice. Totally.
Well, a good practice, but also demonstration.
Yeah.
Now I can't go into this. I can't go into the operations guy. I can't go into the engineers and say, look, I can replace 50%. I can't even go into their office and say I can replace 10% of your steam, even though I've proven it. They just don't hear it. It's not in their mindset. Not even to mention that it's going to reduce their emissions. Now, even the regulators hear that, they're going to balk at me because they don't want the oil to increase. So what I have to do for them is say we're going to keep production. The production will stay on the same decline. We're just going to reduce the emissions, which is what we do when we replace steam.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
What's beautiful is every field and every operator has to have a separate project with minimums.
That's part of the regulation?
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So and what's beautiful is I've got contracts and executing work with the three biggest players, which is roughly 80% of the market. So one customer has 6 fields that would need 6 different projects. Now, I don't say we go after all 6 at first. I say we get one approved at one field. And I think what I'll do is go to that field level, because I'll do 2 fields.
Okay.
So the current structure, the credit pays for 83% of the expense of my job. At the credit, at this credit price.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And one of my customers, it pays for 105% of the job. That means it costs them nothing. They get 5% return.
Wow.
Costs them 0. They make 5% the more wells they treat on top of the oil. I mean, that's without even counting oil.
Wow.
So I could make them 0 increment. Well, I couldn't make a 0 incremental oil because then the credit wouldn't exist. Right.
Right.
But they're losing money by not doing it more.
Here's the the back slap here on top of all this. Okay. They're also cleaning up their wells in the environment at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Okay. So here's another thing that's very interesting too. And we talked about this way back when. But the whole thing about creating clean water in an oil well. So there's another resource that we haven't even talked about.
Mhm. This actually, not only does it replace the emissions, like that eliminates them for steam, but it also eliminates the need for the fresh water that they're taking away from the people.
Right, exactly. Well, and there is a possibility that in the future, a well that was drilled for oil
Yes.
can actually become a water well.
Yeah.
You're smack in the middle of an agricultural community, right? So
yeah, exactly. That's phase 3 of this. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like that's a whole side of it that hasn't even been explored yet.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I love this. I love this so much.
Which is why I got worldwide distribution for this new surfactant for the egg companies.
Yeah, exactly.
70% increase in yield.
Oh, wow.
That
So here's another
water
here's another
70%. Yeah.
Here's another thing I want to mention before I forget about it. Okay. Languaging. I've heard you say customer a few times.
Mhm.
Okay. You don't have to language this, but it needs to be in your mind and in your heart. You're actually partnering with these oil companies, with these drillers. Yeah.
Yes. Now
Okay.
they say that word, but they don't mean it.
Right.
But I mean that is.
But that's the truth of it. The energy around this is that you're providing a partnership opportunity that does A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And has potential for GHIJK.
Yeah, that's good. I might as well use the word. They throw it around and they use it they've used it forever. Oh, our business partners. It's such bullshit the way they use it though.
Right. You're a partner that's going to be more productive than any other partner they've ever experienced.
Exactly.
It's like okay. This is one of the most fun projects I've ever participated in. I just want to keep playing with this one for as long as you'll allow me to. Oh man.
Well, I think that's part of it, right? It's like when it's fun, when it's a challenge, when it's inventive and creative, right? It's like there's a whole different, there's a passion behind it.
Yes.
And it's like that is what needs to be fostered, that's what needs to be developed, and that's what today's leaders in these organizations, every organization needs to be doing this type of thing with their people to get out of this situation we put ourselves in.
Yep.
And when the regulatory group can say, look at the oil industry, drop their emissions 30, 40, 50%. Now the rest of you have to do it. And they'll be sitting there going, well, how did you guys do it? And here we go.
Yeah.
Number one rule is you got to say, oh, I wonder how I could. Yeah, as obvious as that is, that's what's missing.
Yeah.
And before that, it might be, I don't know. Maybe that's number 2.
You know, I just got something else around this too. Is you could have investment partners.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. What came up to you for it?
I'm not really sure how they fit into things, but
I was thinking environmentalists or the public, right?
well,
Somewhere
yeah,
that's gonna
yeah.
pressure.
I was thinking the public, and
Yeah.
and an opportunity for everyday Joe
Yep.
to invest in something, because here's the thing. There's my age bracket. I'm a baby boomer,
Mm,
and there's more of us in retirement age. Like there's a bubble of people who are in retirement age, and all of them are depending on Social Security, and and the value of their home. Like they're doing things like reverse mortgages and stuff like that in order to retire. But an opportunity for people like that to participate in something that's an off the top growth industry that would actually give them a monthly drain on their, or a monthly investment on their, a monthly income on their investment would be a very phenomenal.
it fits into I think it's it's either the Inflation Reduction Act or I think it's the Inflation Reduction Act, right? Which is after these low income communities that are affected by, say, these emission oil companies, right?
Right.
A way to invest in cleaning up the environment, and then all of a sudden you've got, I think the public's key, because now they are forcing them to do more of this.
Right.
Their voice is really their voice can become loud,
Right.
which is what we're seeing around change happening.
Right. And so you also give them the opportunity to play in it. You make them part of the sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we start with the communities, the underserved communities that are in the oil patch, which is everything here in Kern County.
And you're actually remind me, okay, Bakersfield is at the south end of San Joaquin Valley, right?
Yes.
It goes as far as like Lancaster, doesn't it? Or
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty
Edwards
much.
Air Force Base. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, that's some of the most productive agricultural land in North America.
Yep.
And
All
it
the way
has been
through
for years. In fact, Western Canada gets most of its food from there.
Yep.
And
Yeah, it's the breadbasket.
right, exactly. And so if you can prop up that whole agricultural thing in a number of ways, and have the growers participating in your oil oriented thing, holy crap, is that amazing.
There you go. There you go.
That's an infrastructure shot in the arm.
Yep.
That I know is direly needed.
Yep.
At this point.
And that's the biggest thing that I see, is we need the oil and the egg to come together.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. That's the purpose of this product.
because the land is dying there, and the water. is
Water's
drying
drying up and the air is dirty as F because of
out.
the steam that we generate.
Right.
And the oil jobs that are disappearing because production is declining. So Taft, which used to be an oil center, is just a meth house now.
Wow. So what is your just off the top? What does your product do with respect to methane and H2S?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. It just popped into my head, so I figured I'd ask.
Yeah, well, the methane H2S, a gas that comes up with the production, I don't know if it does anything with that. The methane, the emission reduction, which is where methane lies into it,
Okay.
is burning natural gas to create steam.
Okay. So they actually
So
roll
it's
that
the
into their
combustion.
production.
Well, for every 3 barrels of steam produces 1 barrel of oil. So it's anywhere between, roughly it's about 92% of the emissions comes from the steam generation.
Okay.
So it's the biggest polluter that no one's paying attention to. Nobody realizes that just in Kern County, from the 6 heavy oil fields we have in Kern County, emit more methane, CO2, than all flaring in the United States.
Wow.
And we do it every day for 60 years.
Wow. No wonder.
And they're wanting to
Look at the
continue to
smog
do
in
that.
California.
Exactly. But no one has made the connection that I hear, especially like the reporting people, to say, this is how dirty heavy oil is. I didn't realize it until December.
Right. Right. You start looking into it. I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Now, the oil companies know, and their solution is to cut their steam production. Well, what happens when you cut 3 barrels of steam? You lose 3 barrels of oil.
Right.
It doesn't go the same way as when you increase steam. As you drop it, it goes exponentially. So what does that do for jobs? And oil field jobs are the highest paid jobs by double. I think our average industry is $80,000, and what we're replacing them with is warehouse jobs at less than 30.
Right. Yeah. In that way.
And that is the direction we're going, because people say, oh, I have to cut my emissions. And so the only way to do that is to reduce my steam and my oil. So the oil is measured by a carbon intensity formula, which is basically the amount of emissions generated to produce a barrel of oil, right? That's a carbon intensity, and it's a ratio. So when you cut your carbon, your oil drops too. That is a death spiral. What my product does is says, look, you get that oil, but without the emissions.
Yeah.
Now, the reservoir already has to be hot for it to work. Great. They're already hot.
Yeah.
So all that emissions we've used, rather than capping that well, right, early, rather than containing that heat down there, let's use the rest of it. Let's stop polluting now and use all the heat that's down there, which would mean maximize the amount of oil that's already developed.
Great. Yeah.
That is the lowest cost solution. The lowest emission cost we have is to exploit the most of what we already have. And everyone in the environmental world is saying that. And in my world, the language is incremental oil, which appears to be relatively new to my industry. It appears that they don't understand the concept of incremental oil because the only way they know how to do it is to drill.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's what the automatic has been for so long. It's like we don't have to maintain the asset. We're just going to drill a new well because capital, right, gets favorable taxes.
Oh boy. Hmm.
And the longer we wait, lowering our heat input, the longer we wait, the less oil we're going to get.
Yeah.
So
So that's So that's interesting. You've got the accredited investors, right, that are basically pushing the whole thing about creating new wells because that's the way the tax law is written. Oh wow. So this is an
Because-
opportunity. This is an opportunity to do a major redistribution of wealth at the same time.
yes, it is.
Wow.
It is. And prepare the workforce for the change that's coming. It buys us some time.
Yeah.
If not, I think our industry can thrive as we wean ourselves out of oil. And we don't have to drill any more wells.
As we reduce dependence on fossil fuel.
That's right. That's the whole objective.
The automobile.
That's right. I figure easy estimates is by 2045, locally, we produce 1.2 billion barrels more, which means we don't have to import that from the rainforests of Ecuador.
So here's a broad perspective on this. You see how the intelligence of Mother Nature is governing all this stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, nothing. Yes.
Because in the last 10 minutes, we've talked about about 10 different things that create change to the environment and the economy and all this kind of stuff. And it's all,
I know.
it's all part and parcel of one project,
Yep.
one technology.
One yes.
One yes, exactly. But look at the impacts.
That
Look
I've
at
been
the after
manufacturing
effects.
for 16 years, fighting the fucking wall.
Yeah.
I know. It's obvious from my chair.
Gaia is pretty damn awesome.
Mhm,
Vice chair.
mhm. Right. And it all started with that urge deep inside to say, go start your own business. Fuck me, that's scary. I left a $120,000 job 20 years ago. Rising star. Took a $40,000 paycheck cut to do it.
So how accurate was your intuition back then?
Well, there's times along the way I didn't think very good.
Well, exactly. Okay, so what do you say now?
Well, it's still not very good yet, but the possibilities, the potential is extremely big,
Yeah.
which is what I think it was all gearing up for, but only after the fact when it's proved to be, when we get 1.2 billion or more barrels of oil out of it, will I say, that's why.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you becoming a believer?
Was it preparing me to be able to use a whole bunch of cash in a very good way? Yeah, I think that's what it was preparing me for. That becomes because I can be happy without it.
Yeah.
That was my lesson.
It's taken 20 years to radically change your belief level.
Well, let's see, it took me 17 years to chase the money to figure out that wasn't going to fucking work. And it's taken me 3 years to put money second, and that I can be happy without it, in preparation for the next 20 years. Yes.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Isn't it though? So yes, that's intuition at work.
Yeah. Unconsciously,
Hmm.
super consciously.
And no matter how hard or how much I forced it and directed it, right, it only could have ended up here.
Right. So learning.
Mistakes, failures. Yes.
Yes, lifelong learning.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 out of 20 projects hit really well.
And there's a story that begs to be told.
Yeah, there will be, and it's always after the fact, it seems.
Yeah.
That's only when people want to listen.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, everybody's going to want to know how you did it.
That's what I mean. After the fact, when people get to know enough about it, right?
That's why I'm asking you the questions now,
Yep.
because I want to know how you did it.
Mhm.
I want to
Well-
know how you got from, like, you're only at B, you're not at C yet, but I want to know how you got from A to B.
Mhm.
Or actually, the order is backwards. It's that Napoleon Hill quote: "Anything the human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." So C comes before B.
So we
Before
started
A.
this. We started this November 11th. Yeah, this morning. Every morning we started this November 11th, except for one. And this opportunity landed in my lap December 7th. 30 roughly that timeline, like the 6th and 7th, something, but 30 days after we started it.
Yeah.
So these recordings are how that transition happened. Not every morning did we speak about it, but in the background, it was always in my background.
Yeah.
The energy of it was present every day.
Correct.
So my word of the day included the biggest project of my life.
Yeah.
How else could it? I mean,
Yeah.
oh, and beautiful, it's recorded.
Yes.
So an asset before we need it. And so, yes, intuition said record it before they build it before they come, right? It's like build an asset before you need it. It's like if you don't record it, you'll wish you had it.
Yeah.
So that's inside of the intuition I'm grateful for, of the technology that's available.
Yeah.
Because these
I'm
big
really
companies
glad
are
now
going
too
to
that you
ask,
recorded all these.
big companies are going to ask, how did you do this? This is how you create creators in your organization.
Yes.
And that will be really good for a business in intuitive. Yeah. Business
Yes.
will be really good.
Yes. Well, yeah. We've been building these muscles for half a year already.
Mhm.
exercising them.
Well, we're 50 some years ahead of everyone else right now because of the 200 days we put in.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that exponentially grows. That math exponentially grows every day.
Yeah, hence my word for today. Prophecy,
There you go.
future memory. Yeah.
Future memory. I love future memory.
Future memory. You know, it's funny. The world's leading researcher on near-death experiences. That's the title of her second book. Future memory. And I bought a copy.
Future memory is? Future memory?
Yeah, future memory. Yeah.
Guess I wasn't the only one that came up with that, huh?
That's where I got the term from. And yeah.
I've never heard it anywhere else outside of my creation.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't either. That's why it fascinates me. But here's kind of interesting thing. I bought the book, and I think it was in 2021. I'm not sure. Yeah, it would be in 2021 sometime. So I've only had it for a couple years, like not even 2 years. But the thing is, of all the books that I have, it's the one that I read little chunks out of it, and then I just put it on the back shelf for a while, and then I'll go back and I'll read a little chunk out of it, and I'll put it on the back shelf for a while. And I just wonder if it's because the power of that actually might scare me a little bit, you know, because it's extremely that whole thing about knowing what's coming before anybody else can see it is a real, it's extremely powerful. But the reason it came up today for me today is that I've observed, you know, there's a lot of people that are channeling and recording it and doing all that kind of stuff. But there's very few that dare to suggest what the future might be like. And I'm feeling a real pull to start doing that, to start speaking it out, start speaking the future. So anyways, I'm sharing this with you guys because I'm seeking your support, I guess, to be true about it. My belief level around that is much greater than it was even a few weeks
ago. All right, so my intuition for that, what my hit was, which is, and I'm grateful to be relieved of this duty, is there's always a triangle with me, right? There's always 3 points, and it's and I think it's like what we come together as. And originally I thought it was me, like I had to hold all 3 of them. It's political, it's entrepreneurial, and it's a preacher.
Okay.
But again, you think, oh, look at me do it all alone.
Right. Yeah.
So that is like in those domains, right? And they're not clear domains. They're just kind of the ones that show up today. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
Of course, yeah. I will support in those, especially if there's certain ones that I don't have to do.
Yeah.
But nor is it clear on which ones are going to be a result of this.
Okay. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we can't be all three of them, right? You know, because
Well, yeah.
it's been a coach, it's been a guide, but business is my passion, right? There's a political part of me that's like, I really don't want to like engage into, right? But I'm continually because political is just people. It's just a structure of people.
It's socialization. It's
Yeah.
It's interpersonal play.
Yeah, and it's not like how I see it today, but that today's structure of political is what I resist.
Yeah.
You know, meaning like running for president, it's like, no way is this shit that's going on today anything I'm going to be a part of. So it'll be a whole new structure, but I'm not going to say, no, it's not either one of us, or it's not me, or we just may not have found them yet.
Right.
Unless it's Pascal. Pascal might be, you know, that might be in his vision.
Yeah. And the thing is, you have to be familiar with all three of those points, triangle, but one will emerge as a kind of a primary one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And business is
Morning.
the one that's in front of me.
Yeah. So I'm just hearing what I'm hearing from what you're saying is hearing that I'm the preacher.
I'm relieved I don't have to be that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, and the other thing is too is that's partly that might be the biggest part of what I'm scared of.
Yeah.
Amen,
brother.
There's people that have spoken had tomatoes and rotten eggs thrown at them. But at the same time, people that have spoken out have also been burnt at the stake. And so it's like maybe that's part of it, part of the resistance. So
It is.
Yeah.
And it is through the resistance, it is what we want most.
So, but I'm getting start small.
Mhm. And as we've spoken, right, it's all like the timing reveals it, right?
Small and start with print.
Yeah. And yeah. I mean, in a sense, what else is a business intuitive?
Yeah.
A prophet. What else is a prophet? You'd call it a preacher, but it's a prophet. Your word for the day.
Yep. The daily bread. The daily bread that's been given. Yeah.
And I wonder what our friend in Canada is going to become. Do you still have dual citizenship?
Me?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I'm the only one in my family that doesn't. All my kids and my wife were dualies, and I'm just a Canadian with a green card. That could change too.
Gotcha.
But really the citizenship doesn't really matter.
Oh, yeah. So you're a Canadian citizen then?
Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
Canadian citizen and a legal alien.
There you go. I gotcha.
Or a lawful permanent resident.
Yeah.
LPR, it's called legally. That's why they call the Mexicans illegals. That's not actually true. Actually undocumented. Undocumented immigrants. They're not doing anything illegal. Legalese is a very tricky thing. Which is why I'm looking at quantum syntax. There's a legal language that was discovered about 25 years ago. Supersedes legalese. And it's actually reorganized all of the governmental and monarchical power in the world. Language. Since about the turn of the century, we've been living under a shadow government that isn't really a government. Retains the facade. That's one of the reasons why Donald Trump was so pissed off. He took the office of president and found out that he wasn't really a president. I guess that's political.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, that's interesting to me because yeah, I didn't like that word in the triangle either. I had some resistance against it, but the signers of the Declaration of Independence were political as well. They wouldn't have called themselves that either. They wouldn't have identified as that.
Yeah.
So I mean, the energy around that political point of the triangle is more like the independence, more like the rebel.
We the people.
Yeah, we the people. You know, and that's definitely coming to. That's the energy of Pluto moving into Aquarius. It's on its way back out right now, but that's an introduction to Aquarius energy around Pluto. And Pluto signifies really deep and intense changes to things.
Yeah.
Yep. And Aquarius energy is not, it's power of the people, but power of the people in community to explain that energy. So it's like partnerships and small groups and team orientations, those kinds of things.
Gather.
You know, think tanks.
Yep. Gather.
Co-creative triangles.
Mhm. Genius is in
Triangles
the
within
middle.
a circle. Circles.
That's right. Genius is in the middle. A fascinating morning.
Well, yeah. I came out with my fears, boys.
Awareness of them is key.
My resistance, yeah. Well,
The
and
only
still, I'm
place
not,
to
I'm
start.
recovering, and I'm not quite ready yet. So that's it. Like, I'll know when I'm ready, when it's
Yep.
time. And what's interesting too is like those scholarships that I got for both an ongoing writing workshop about writing your memoir, which is kind of hilarious to me, and a speaking seminar, a speaking workshop, own the stage kind of thing. So, good morning. So yeah, so it's interesting that those have popped into my experience at just this time. So yeah. The universe is unfolding as it's meant to, at least from my point of view.
It is all you've got.
Yep.
Your point of view.
Yep.
Prophecy.
Yeah.
Prophecy, value. What was Pascal's word?
Oh.
Beauty.
Beauty. Yes.
Thanks, Pascal. Beauty.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting too, because I was racking my brain to remember what the word was, and then I realized just before you said it, I thought, what was the energy of that word? What energy did I feel when he said that word? And then it came.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, it's a different kind of memory.
Yeah, see the push
totally.
for it, the recall, the grab for it, and it's like the force it. And it's like, oh no, just relax into it. Whew.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and it was there. Boom.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm going to schedule a meeting with my accountant.
Oh yeah, for sure. And and just be really open.
Mhm.
really open for what's there, because you know, he's been he has been prepared for
Mhm.
this meeting with you.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Teamwork. Teamwork.
Teamwork.
And it's been about a year. We've been with him about a year now. So,
Crazy.
and he's a new one.
Wow.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be good to get request his help.
Yeah. Sure. I'll invite him in. Invite him into your creation.
Mhm.
Let him participate.
Mhm.
Invite him to participate.
There we go. I like it.
It's not. Yeah. It's not about partnering as much as it is is being participants.
Mhm.
That's one thing. That's one thing with all this intuitive work that I'm doing. There's going to be a continued participation clause in everything I do from now on.
Mhm.
And the thing is because I know that whatever thing that gets started, it won't be sustainable without me.
Yeah, nothing ever is.
Yeah.
There's always new innovations are required, right? New creations, new switches, new views, new perspectives are always required.
Yeah, we're constantly adjusting.
Yeah. Ooh, I hear the garbage truck.
I'm back.
Canada's back. The
Yeah.
politician's
crazy.
back.
No, I don't think I'm
Crazy
a
Quebecer.
politician. I don't think I'm a
Crazy
politician.
Quebecer.
This is not my alley. No. Politics is not, it's not my forte. Well, it's not my interest, let's say.
Yeah.
I gotta do what I love, right? So what I would say, if I sum it up this morning, I would say expanding awareness. It's really like the oil company, I didn't know too much about it. And I had a lot of resistance to it because the only portion that I know is really dark. And what I read is, about the Rockefeller when on what they did with it. But what's beautiful this morning is I saw the other side
Oh,
and
cool.
how it can be useful for everyone, and instead than detrimental, right? The way Rockefeller, they basically use it as power and manipulation and dumbing down people and so on and so on. But so, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like when you guys start like talking about this, I'm like, I kind of shut down because I'm like, I'm really not interested in this because what I know is not good. But then I was like, you know what? Keep listening, keep listening. And like the stuff that came out from you guys, like it's just like, wow, this is good. This is getting really, really good. Right. So it's really like expanding my awareness around it and be open, because sometimes we shut down on something that because of our past we know about something, and then we're like, oh no, I don't want to listen to this. You know, there's only one side of it. And what I realized this morning is like there's always two sides of it, you know, and it's to listen both sides, and then you can make a you can make a decision, but also like really, you have a full global picture of it.
Yeah.
Right. But no politics. No. Don't call me for politics. You know, I won't give you my number for that.
I will invite the environmentalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. How else could we have a conversation of what to do? Beautiful.
Yeah. And then I really enjoy yesterday podcast about, like, it was like a high level conversation, something, that's how they call it, and it's really high level. It's really cool. And he was talking about Elon Musk. You know, there's a lot of criticize about Elon Musk, but what's good about Elon Musk is like his technology, he didn't like keep it for himself. He didn't create a Tesla car. He created an industry of electric car.
Mhm.
So he didn't just like, oh wow, I know this idea and I'm gonna profit from it. No, he says like, you know what? Like, if I bring a lot more people to it, then I don't even have to do the talking.
Yeah.
It does it itself. And when you guys brought up the subject about the public, well, we got to think that, you know, Jesse, you're just a man. You're just one person. And like your team, I don't know how many people, say like 10, you know, this is your team. Well, you got 10 voices, say.
Mhm.
But when you bring the public, then how many voices you got? And they'll do the talking for them, for you.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, I don't know the industry much. I know a little bit more now. But yeah, the avenue of let people talk for you.
Mhm.
Because maybe that's not what you like. Do what you like. You know, follow your highest passion.
a great example, and then like to expand on Elon Musk, and it's like if we relied on the existing infrastructure, the existing automakers, it would never have happened. The electric car wouldn't have happened because it's not in their interest to make it happen. Not until
No.
a competitor like Elon says, I'm going to come in and change this whole industry.
Yeah. And I don't like, it's like per se, like I'm not a big fan of electric car at all.
Yeah, me neither.
They got their big challenge,
Yes.
but nevertheless, what he's done with it, it's impressive.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's very, very impressive. You know, and I remember like when he started to make those cars, like he had like debts you wouldn't believe. You know, he went in debt to make those cars, like to build the whole infrastructure. But it didn't scare him a bit. You know, he just follows desire.
Same for his rockets.
Yeah. Yeah.
See how many we can blow up, because we're going to learn from them. NASA could never do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's something that came up for me today too, because you know, when I was hired to develop online learning, that was a government contract, and so it was by definition kind of close-ended, because you know they're always temporary, those kinds of things, and so having the government do it is not the answer. And you know, and having conventional stuff going on like that's part of the reason why NASA never really went anywhere, is because they were government funded largely.
Yeah, and who founded like the government?
Say again?
Who founded the government?
Well, the people did, but they lost control of it.
Well, I would say the banks.
Well, that's what I mean.
The banks control the government. So we're blaming the government because like they're always using someone to divert the attention. Oh, the banks are great, you know, they give you interest, da 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 da. But they're actually the one that really they're in the bottom of that.
Yeah.
Not the government. But we're blaming the government, right? So it's always a diversion, always, you know? They're always going to give you part of the truth, you know? So something to run for.
Yeah.
But if you don't look both ways, then you don't see the whole picture.
Yeah, you get run over.
Yeah. Well, you come to a dead end. Right? So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, bottom line is like, how do we create a better future?
Yeah.
By creating it. And then not let other people create their own future. Yeah, create what you want. And I don't think it starts from the physical. Like Jesse was saying, like during all these calls, his desire and intention was always the oil, right?
Yeah.
Like his focus was always the oil. Like, so desire and intention, it's not physical. You know, I cannot weigh desire and intention. It's not concrete. You know, I cannot feel it.
Yeah.
And it's not tangible
No.
yet.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not yet.
Yet everything
Like-
that we have right now was at some point that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we look the other way, right?
That's
If
right.
we don't,
That's right.
if we don't see it, oh, it doesn't exist.
Mhm. And everything we have right now is from that intangible intention.
And we have technology like that, but we don't question it, like our internet, like, you know, Wi-Fi, like Bluetooth, all this technology, you know, we don't see how it works, but it works. But we don't, also that means like we don't see it all.
Yeah. We don't see how an airplane flies either.
No. But we don't question it, right? It's like,
Yeah. Once it shows up, we don't question.
no, it's just like, it just flies. Yeah. I love the fact that, you know, I can have these conversations with the two of you and comprehend what's going on. It's like, even like, I don't know, I would say 5 years ago, like, I wouldn't understand. Well, no, let me reframe that. Like, maybe I would understand, but not with my mind. And I probably always know this stuff, but back of remembering. So it's just like showing the progress of myself, and I have to. Sometimes I'm a little down on myself, be like, oh, I could do better, I could do this, I could do that, but like, and now I look back and like see like where I was and where I'm at now. It's like, well, even though it doesn't show, you know, I've got the same job, doing the same thing, but I know when I come the other side, I won't be at the same level. Because I'm passionate about it. So working with the stuff we don't see, the energy we don't see, I think that's my passion. One of them. Make the invisible visible.
Yep. I'm really enjoying what you're bringing in, Pascal.
For example,
Well, all this stuff that you're expanding on. Like your perspective, it's like let me put it this way. I'm surprised and encouraged by what you've learned today.
well, I saw it from above.
Yep.
And that's why like that third person is, well, they're all valuable. And that's why like that triangle, it's not like someone is higher than the other.
Nope.
You know, but he sees both of the points of the triangle. Right? Because if you're facing the other person, you don't look up very often.
Yep. Yep.
But if you're up, you look down and you see the two.
Yeah, different participation yields different results.
Right?
That's why
And
even though you didn't say anything for an hour, you're saying it now, and what you're saying now is extremely valuable because it's been cooking for an hour.
Yeah. And I wasn't thinking about what I'm going to say, but
Right,
I knew,
exactly.
like the feeling that I had, it was a restriction. there's a restriction around the subject.
Yeah.
And I had to explore. What does it mean, right? And it's based on, let's say, my past knowledge. Morning. But it's good that I stay in it. For me, it becomes really obvious now to see my patterns, you know, and it hurts. You know, it's like, oh, I'm doing this again. Right? It's to transcend, or really like thinking that it's, yeah, to accept it's part of me, but that's not what's run the show. Just like the ego, mind, identity. I think I heard, yeah, I heard a little bit of that analogy. It's like the Uber driver needs his customer, but the analogy is like, so the customer is the ego, mind, identity. I don't mind that you're in the back, but keep your hand to yourself, and I don't want to hear a beep. But you can ride along. But the ego, mind, identity, it cannot be, yeah, in my opinion, you cannot like completely dissolve it. It's always going to be there. So I think it's the glue that keeps you on planet Earth. So it's essential, because otherwise I think like, I'm just trying to think about that, but I feel like if you don't have any ego, you'll be flying out of your suit. What do you guys think?
I think it provides the focus. And so it's like it's a vehicle for the focus is the ego. I agree. I don't think it goes away. It's just we can allow it to not be the driver. And that takes practice. Because I think it's what makes the words, like that aspect of us creates the words to the feelings, to the visions, to the intuition.
See, I heard you saying that that there was something wrong with this pattern that you were living today. And I'm saying, no, there was nothing wrong with it at all, because you weren't really interested in the details of what Jesse and I were talking about, but you saw some of the themes that were emerging from it, and your perspective gave us a whole different level of value when you shared it. So it's not a bad thing to be a bird's eye observer. You're not really interested in details. In fact, it's extremely helpful.
Right. Yeah.
Because our ego mind tends to want to get consumed with the details. Right?
Yeah.
That's basically how the brain works.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the details, and you get finer and finer and finer on the details. But this work we're doing and these interchanges we're having tend to deal with stuff that's far beyond the details. And there's other stuff that emerges from that when you have that point of view. And so the role you provided today was necessary and beneficial for what we were doing. Even though you weren't participating in the conversation directly, but you were participating energetically.
Yeah.
Okay. And all three of us were processing all of it together. Today was really valuable in a lot of ways. It's what I'm trying to say. And a lot of those valuables were intangible.
Yeah, and it was different for all of us.
Yeah. And you know, and the truth is, you're making a great contribution whether you say anything or not. Your presence makes a contribution.
Right.
We never know where our resistance is coming from, or when it'll be peaked, or when it'll be poked. And it's like, oh, wow, look at that. And it's what I honor. A part of the awareness is like, oh, I was unaware that I was unaware.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was unaware that I was resisting.
So unaware that, the oil people are mostly good people.
Yeah.
They're just people.
Yeah,
they're people in an industry taking care of their family.
Right. Yeah, and they're taking care of a lot more people than we think.
Hmm.
In different ways, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
without oil, I cannot put gas in my car.
That's right. And I went from providing a product that everyone wanted to a product that no one wants, yet they still use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You live in a city, the one city in Canada, the one city in North America that's been built on the oil industry.
mhm.
You know, you wouldn't be working right now if it wasn't for oil.
Mhm.
You probably wouldn't be living there either.
Yeah.
Same as my city. Yeah. It's a huge funder of all of the local government, the schools. And that goes away. It's like, where are we going to get all of that? Amazon's not paying for it.
Not even close.
The warehouse space doesn't pay for it. Transportation doesn't pay for it. It's like, this is real consequences coming.
Yeah. Like, I agree that it's not the end to all, right? Like, it's a transition,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Together. That's the key part. It's like we can't just say you got to be done with it. And I think that's the conversation, right? That's got to come to the table from both parties. Oil's resisting it as well as the public is resisting it for the most part. There's two extremes, and the answer lies in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and keep this in mind too, is that the whole world is in a major transitional phase right now. So there's going to be thousands and thousands of things that have one foot in the old structure and another foot that's looking for a new structure to transition into. And that's why this work we're doing is so damn important, is because it's the transitional piece. It's how you move from the old ways to the new ways. It's the in between. Nobody knows how to navigate the in between. We're making it up as we go along.
That's the beauty, and everyone's looking for a manual.
Right.
No, it's created, and nobody knows how to create it, because we always just been looking, how do we make what we have better or more improvement or efficient? And it's like, whoa.
Right. And that's a dead end. All of that stuff, improvement, more efficient, all that stuff is a dead end.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've officiated the shit out of it. We've efficiencyed it to death.
Right. All in the name of progress.
Yeah. There's no more to outsource.
Right. To the point where we've called things progress that aren't.
That's right. No, it's just tweaking.
Yeah. So we even call backwards steps progress. Because marketing says so. Because people will buy it.
they will resist the change.
Well, yeah, because backwards progress is basically resisting change. That's why it sells so well, because people are change resistant. So they'd rather be sold a line of BS about that than they would to actually change intentionally. The change is happening nonetheless. Right? You know, we have an opportunity to make it less painful. That to me, that's the real miracle of this technology of Jesse's, is that we've explored it and found out that there's a lot less. There's a lot of gifts in it. You know, inside the pain of it, there's a lot of gifts inside it too. And there aren't many people on the planet that are willing to actually explore the pain of something to find the gifts inside of it.
Yeah.
And we keep uncovering more and more of them. Every time we talk about this, we keep uncovering more and more benefits.
Yeah, what triggers me the most is like, you know, like you probably heard about like 15-minute cities, and you know they want to reduce their footprint and like we pollute so much as individual.
What
But then,
15-minute cities? What are you talking about?
You never heard that?
No, never heard of it.
Yes. So what they want to do, that's their planning. So like they you have everything within 15 minutes. Your work, so you're probably going to be working from home, your stores, but you can't go outside of that. So you're reducing your footprint, like you're reducing your consumption with your car and blah, blah, blah. But the thing, like big industry, like big corporations, they don't do anything. It's almost like you run a business, but you worry about, when you go get like pens from the store, you worry about the price. But then like you're buying a big machinery, and then, who cares? Who cares? All good, like you'll be saving so much on there, but so little on these crayons or pens. But you focus on like spending, like, saving a few pennies here and there. But really, the big growth is like the big companies that should reduce their emissions, if that's your goal. But they're, again, it's diverting, right? Oh, you people, you're polluting too much, right?
Right.
So it's just, yeah. That's what I'm like. You know, this stuff that doesn't make sense to me. You know?
Yeah.
But put us in a box and let's breed all together. And it'll be way more beneficial for the planet than reducing emission for big corporations.
Right.
The same thing with taxes, right? Who's benefit for taxes? Always big corporations. They're the one that don't pay taxes.
Yep.
But let's bring up the taxes for the rest of people. Right?
Yeah.
So the corporation, they always have loopholes. Always, you know. Like I was hearing Robert Kiyosaki, and then he's like, I never pay taxes. Who pays taxes, right?
Yeah.
But he says like, I do what government wants me to do.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Follow these rules, pay no taxes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know how to do it. So.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about all these people who are flaunting these 6 and 7 figure businesses is the vast majority of that's going to the government.
Yeah. Well, it's like just of the city here, right? So the city, I don't know how many business there is. It's not just one entity, right? It's like, so for a truck, for example, when they need repair,
Yep.
They go to a mechanic, and mechanic from the city. So mechanic bills our department, you know, and so it's all, you know, it's, even though it's, you would think like it comes from the same pocket, like they all have little budget and here and there, right? It's not like, yeah, it's, and I was working for another company for like snow removal, so I was plowing, like big plows, and yeah, they had like, I think 6 or 7 different companies within the company.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what they're doing is like, it's like the expenses, like they're just throwing the expense like left and right. So that way they don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
You know, if one company makes too much, then, oh, let's put some expenses there, you know, and one that does little, right? So let's reduce the expenses there. It's genius. It's absolute genius. But that's a loophole, right? That's most people that don't run business, they don't know any of that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They don't see it, you know. And I haven't run like a big business, so I'm probably just scratching the surface, you would say, right?
Yeah. Funny thing about that is in 1900, most people were self-employed.
Yeah.
And in that 100 years that's gone by, we've all forgotten how to do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the fear, right?
Well, it's not the fear. It's just we've forgotten how to do it, because the thing is, society was kind of set up for that, for everybody being self-employed.
Yep, but Jesse was mentioning like he had fear when he left like his $120,000 job.
Right. But he didn't
Right.
grow up in a society that was self-employed.
No, exactly, and I haven't too. So for me, like,
So that's what I said. They forgot. Everybody's forgot.
yeah,
And so that's why there's fear around it, is because it's unfamiliar, and the infrastructure, society's infrastructure isn't conducive to that. It isn't open to that.
no,
It's built for people being employees.
yeah, oh yeah,
That's why it's so damn hard to leave it.
mm-hmm. And they go with the way they keep their employees, like giving them benefit, right? So vacation, and then you know, like dental and this and that, and then like you're so caught up with, oh wow, you know, I make this much money. If I leave my job, then I cannot pay for the dental of my kids or myself or whatever. So you're
Yep.
so caught up to be like, wow, I gotta keep my job. Right?
Yep.
And I want vacation too. You know, I cannot have the burden of like not having vacation for the first 5 years to build my business.
Yeah.
Right? But in the long run, it will benefit me, but I don't see it that way. Right? I see it from today. Because I've got all these doubt that like my business is not going to do well.
Well, yeah, because you don't know. Because you never.
And the
you never
universe
tried it
is a
before.
mirror. Your universe is a mirror of your doubts. So if you're doubtful, then it will show you that, yeah, see,
You're doubtful.
you're doubtful. See, you know, you can't make a decision. You know, see, it just reinforces it, right? Like whatever you like, right? Or whatever you believe, right? And as I'm talking to you guys, I'm just realizing this, like, and then seeing like scenario in my head, you know, I'm like, yeah, I wonder why like my life is like this. Because I'm the perfect image of it.
Yeah.
To the dot. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have a better mirror than this. You know, so I think like, yeah, the goal is that ego mind identity. We explored that we cannot remove it, but we can leave him on the back seat and tell him to keep the hands for himself, and I don't want to hear a beep.
Yeah.
And it's funny why I came up with
Where have
this
I heard that
because,
before?
like the Uber driver, I came up with that because like I went to I was at the airport, and then like my friend at the time, like he couldn't pick me up, so I was with my wife, and then we had to take a Uber, and like the roads were a little slippery but not bad, and unfortunately we got a guy that like he was freaked out of driving on that kind of condition.
Mhm.
And it wasn't an Uber, it was a taxi actually. Uber didn't exist at that time. And then you run the meter, right? And I was chirping so much, and I was like, "Do you want me to drive? Come on, like let's go." And that was the ego mind identity, eh? Like, I don't think you can drive on this. Like, let me drive it. Like, you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
Right? And I was that ego mind identity, and he was like, "No, sir. You gotta stay where you are. It's all good, you know." And I'm like, man, like from the airport to my house, it was almost $100, and I'm like, what? You know, and it should be about 30. You know.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, exactly.
So I was like so frustrated, and then like, yeah, but yeah, that's why I was like, I was the ego, my identity, and then he was like, he wasn't bothered by me, you know.
Yeah.
So. So yeah. Hmm. Are you guys complete?
Oh. What time is it? Oh, it's almost
9:30.
8:30.
Oh, 8:30 for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm complete for today.
Yeah. Like I was saying, like I left all my tools on the table so I can pick up new ones.
Yeah, I'm complete too, guys. Thank you. Great morning. And we'll pick it up again.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
We'll build a
Yeah.
new house tomorrow.
That's right.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, guys. Thanks, and
Create
have
something-
a
create
great,
something brand new.
beautiful day. Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Take-
Big love,
take care,
everybody.
guys.
Bye.
Love to you too. Bye-bye.